All right, Mary. Um, I am so glad that you're joining me here um, to talk about hope.
Mm.
My computer is still being a little funky, but we're going to go ahead and begin. And I'm recording anyway, and we'll put this record on our page as well. So, Mary, always so good to see you.
Same here. It's so fun to be with you every time. Our
Yeah,
friendship's been long and enduring and joyful.
it
Yeah.
has been, as has our kids,
Yeah.
which is also lovely, right?
Yes, it is.
Anyway, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Facebook Live as we talk tonight with Mary Putera,
Mm.
who's a minister and a therapist, and we're going to talk about hope tonight.
Yeah.
Um, Mary, this year, as you know so well, uh, has been a hard one
Mm.
because of COVID
Yeah.
and increased what feels like increased violence
Yeah.
everywhere at protest sites, systemic racism against people of color, political tensions which don't end. And so hope has been hard to come by for people
Mm.
and has seemed elusive. And and especially this year, it's been a year like no other. So it just seemed important to talk about hope. So let me introduce you to those who are gathered. Besides Mary being a dear friend and one whose friendship I value greatly, she has over 20 years of experience as a licensed mental health counselor, expressive arts therapist, and community art facilitator. She has served in pastoral capacities across the U.S. She is currently ordained with the Progressive Christian Alliance, and she's guest lectured and facilitated art-based experiences in many places, including the Theological and Sociological College of Nicaragua, North Park Theological Seminary in Chicago, Portland Seminary in Portland, and she serves as faculty, for the European Graduate School since 2013. And there's so much more I can say,
Mm.
but Mary's real. She has a wonderful presence. She's been a healer forever, and so tonight we engage in conversation with her about hope. So welcome, Mary.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So let me begin by asking. As I mentioned, there's been so much loss this year on multiple levels, and I was thinking that often when we're in a season of loss, especially an extreme loss, like when we lose someone to death, it feels like that loss is the whole story, um, and takes up all of our time and all of our energy when we're in the middle of it. Um, and it takes time to see that that loss is just a part of the story, not the whole. But this year, with everything, it's just kind of felt like the whole, with people being isolated, right? And so I got to thinking, what impact does hope have on our mental well being?
Yeah. I mean, mental well being is so connected to everything about us. And I think that that's really important to share that my perspective about mental well being is part of a wholeness. And our mental well being is probably only as good as our physical well being, our
Mm,
spiritual well being, and our emotional well being. And the difficulties of this year with COVID, with the increased violence, with so many groups of people feeling the extreme resurgence of oppression,
mhm.
from women to people of color to the LGBTQ community to Black people to indigenous groups and more,
Yeah.
immigrants. It's really powerful. So when I think about well being and hope, the first thing that I know about hope is that it's what helps us to sustain life. Without
Mhm.
hope, in the face of this kind of oppression, even of just a virus and the oppressiveness of this virus that isolates us, that tells us where we can go, when we can go, who we can go,
How?
and
Yeah.
how we can go,
Yeah.
sounds very familiar to other oppressions, doesn't it?
Mhm.
And so when I think about hope, I remember that hope is within, and can be found within. And hope also can be found beyond the current moment story we're in. And so there's this wonderful way of being able to find hope that's restorative to us and resilience to us by going in as well as going out.
Mm,
And going in kind of looks like, well, this wonderful definition of hope, to cherish a desire with anticipation, the definition of hope. And it's like we go within and we're like, okay, in all of this, like COVID, what do we anticipate?
mm,
We anticipate the day when we can open our door freely again. We can
mm,
even open our front door freely
mm,
right now
mm.
because there could be more people on the outside
Yeah,
are allowed. I
yeah,
mean, even a car door could open us to 4 or 5 people right there on the street. So I think there's an anticipation
mm,
within us of the day COVID isn't
mm,
this weight around us and over us. And
mm,
how do we live into that anticipation?
mm.
Because hope isn't only just the desires that we have and the anticipation that they'll come through, but it's also action. Hope is the steps we take towards that.
Yeah. Let me pause you for a second. One of the things I've noticed in talking to people and even neighbors who feel so shut in and cut off by families far away, and especially for people living alone, this has been a horrid time of isolation. And it seems harder to kind of grasp onto hope. But I love what you just said about cherishing the desire within for something anticipated, because as we think about the day, wow, just think about when we could walk outside and we don't have masks on anymore, when we could shake people's hands, when we can hug people again. Um, like telling those stories, and it reminds me of the quote at the beginning, how loss feels like it takes up the whole story, but it's only a part of it. So right now we can't shake hands and hug and see and have our masks off, but we will. And to remember, and we will. Yeah.
And what can we do in the meantime? That's the beauty of hope. When
Mm,
we can see and sense the desires we have, and we can also see the blocks in the way, we can tap into our imagination and think about, well, what are the steps we can take?
mm,
And, you know, different generations have different capabilities with computers. Some people have this wonderful ability to connect and do Zoom and do Facebook and do all of these things, and other people don't.
mhm.
But the desire is to connect.
Yeah.
So, what are all the ways we can connect? Well, we still remember how to write letters last time I checked. And the
Yeah,
post office is still open.
it is still open.
And there is a way of building a connection with someone, and that is the activity of hope.
Mm,
And the activity of hope actually leads us more fully into the anticipation of the fuller hope.
mm,
Maybe we write a letter. Maybe we actually pick up the phone and call someone that we haven't called. Maybe we try to form a connection with
mm,
our neighbor through a little basket on their desk or on their front porch, that we've never done before, because
mm,
the anticipation is increased connection. And
mm,
our imagination allows us to transform what is oppressive
mm,
into what is more hopeful.
mm. So
That,
as we take steps,
yeah,
we connect more fully to hope.
because hope is also exponential and generative. When I do an activity that's based in my anticipation and my desire for more connection, and I send a letter, there's an increase of hope at the other end. Even if I
Mm,
don't get a letter back, there's an increase in hope of anticipation of connecting in just receiving that letter.
mm,
And that energy is real and it's in the
yeah,
world.
yeah.
And, it's kind of like prayer.
Mm,
So yeah, the actions that that fulfill the anticipation even a little bit of the desire we have,
yeah.
that's key to somehow connecting with more than the sorrow,
Mm,
more than the sadness and the grief and the loss. Grief and loss are experienced by everyone right now, whether
Yeah.
death has visited us closely or more distantly.
Hmm.
I've lost 3 people in the last 3 months. And there's just been the way of grieving that's different,
Yeah.
and a way of connecting with people
Hmm.
who are also grieving that has
Yeah.
taught me that everyone is grieving in some way.
Mm.
So, yeah,
Mm.
using the imagination to form connection matters.
And it seems like in doing the things we mentioned, from writing a letter, leaving something on someone's doorstep, it inspires hope. It uplifts the spirit, which then kind of can pay it forward, right?
It
It's
can cause
contagious.
a ripple effect.
Yeah, it's contagious, or can be.
It can
Yeah.
be. And
Yeah.
if you do 5 things and one is contagious and that person does something and 5 more people are encouraged and one more acts another, does another performance of that contagion, it just is so exponential. Hope is
Mm.
exponentially generative. It's like,
Mm.
yeah.
That's beautiful.
Mm.
Um, so it's, we kind of you just kind of answered my next question. Um, I had down here, where do we find hope?
Yeah.
So you talked about we can access it through anticipating a desire,
Mm.
but can you say more about how do we access hope?
Yeah, I think that there's another piece too. And I think that every oppressed people group has taught us this for centuries.
Mm.
And I think that the Gospels teach us this. And that is that no matter how big the story is of the pain and the anguish, there is a loving kindness that holds us that's bigger,
Mm.
bigger. And the
Mm.
story is longer. And we really can tap into that for hope. In this day, things may be hard. They won't always be, because
Mm.
there's this longer story going on around
Mm.
us.
Yeah.
God is faithful.
Yeah.
God
And
is
though we, sorry, though we haven't been through this before, um, we have been through other things.
Yeah.
And so what I hear you saying, part of it is looking back and remembering, just like God called the people of Israel to look back and remember all that God had done for them. If we look back and see how God has held and been faithful and ministered to and answered prayer and all that, um,
Yeah.
even if we don't feel it in this moment, it can still connect us to hope and to keep going.
Mary's song teaches us so much about hope and presencing hope in the midst of oppression. Mary, as part of an oppressed group,
Yeah.
and just completely, utterly devastating to really know what that young woman's life is like. And what does she do? What does she do? She allows God to engage her, but then she remembers the past, and
Mm.
she sings of the ways that God was with
Mm.
her for always. And then in the present day of her life, she also sings of the ways that God is going to continue to be
Mm.
for people and
Mm.
for the Israelites and for all of humanity. So
Mm.
in this moment, when we presence ourselves in this day, it's not just about history. It's about believing and trusting that you are already seeing the steps that God is taking to be truthful, to be faithful to God's plan of bringing
Mm.
about a peaceful kingdom. I love that text in Isaiah.
Mm.
I
Mm.
know it's true.
Mm.
Know that whatever hardships we face, God will be faithful to God's word, and the peaceful kingdom will come. And whether or
Mm.
not it's in my day or someone else's day, I can take anticipatory steps with God towards that, and God
Mm.
will bless those
Yeah.
because
And
God
we
will bring it forward.
we've seen such examples of that too throughout scripture, haven't we?
Yeah.
And I love that you said that people who are oppressed know this
Mhm.
well. They know how to connect to this well. They
Mhm.
have so much to teach us,
Mhm.
if we just listen. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I love that. I love that.
Like
Yeah.
when I try to find hope in the larger story right now, it's not just that way big embrace of God. It's also the steps that I see tremendously taken around the globe. When you have more simultaneous marches against racism and violence against Black bodies that went
Yeah.
around the world over the killing of one Black man.
Yeah.
What that speaks of is hope that
Yeah.
is held by all of us now,
Yeah.
in a global perspective that says there will be a day where there will be no more. And
Yeah.
so when I need hope today,
Mm.
that,
Mm.
when I get to witness expressive arts therapists working all over the world to bring about justice, and it's happening all over the world,
Mm-hmm.
what I get to see is that the loving kindness of people is really motivating something very beautiful and very different in the world. And it may
Mm.
take generations to bear fruit, but it will.
Mm-hmm.
It will.
Yeah, I think about even the examples of teenagers
Yeah.
and people in their 20s that we've seen that have stood up for climate
Yeah.
change
Yeah.
and for gun control because their lives keep getting taken. Those young people inspire hope
That's right.
and they don't stop. Their
Yeah.
voice is loud and they're taking action, right?
The whole shift in that they worked on so many levels, from climate change to democracy and building participation in democracy so that we could have hopes of some new days coming, is amazing. And it's really important to truly note the everlasting faithfulness of Indigenous communities and
Mm,
Indigenous youth who continue to fight for the water rights, for the
yeah,
land, and for
yeah.
their voices to be heard against so much, not oppression, but genocide,
Mm-hmm.
utter genocide for generations, for
Mm,
400 years. And their
mm,
voice is still here. Their
yeah.
voice is still speaking, and their
Mm,
voice is being heard more than ever because it's a voice of justice and a voice
mm,
of grace and a voice
mm,
of mercy and a voice of utter determination
mm,
to care for God's creation, as we all should.
mm, mm,
And so I just am like so amazed. I'm so amazed. And clearly, the hope that it was within Indigenous peoples is
mm,
held all the way in the extended place that God has.
mm,
There's no doubt.
mm.
How
Yeah,
did that happen?
yeah. It just speaks to me so much of how we need to listen. Who are we listening to?
Mm.
And um, how it changes us when we open our ears, our minds, our hearts to those who are different than we are, how we define ourselves, however that is, right? Um, to hear their story and to join them in hope and fighting for justice.
And I think that one of the interesting things that we're in right now, Desmond Tutu speaks about how the oppressor and the oppressed, whether it's COVID, all the things that oppress us, the way peace comes is this, a walking
Mm,
together, right? It's very,
mm,
very different. And so we think about COVID and we think about, how do we do this with COVID? We agree to wear masks.
mm,
We agree to be in public in a way that is respectful of everyone's dignity and everyone's vital
mm,
life and
mm,
everyone's need to be under the protection of one another's loving kindness. We wear
mm,
masks, we socially distance, we don't go out any more than we need to right now. We don't gather in person because this is the way that COVID loses its power.
mm, mm,
And it's similar when I think about people groups, and I think that dominant culture people have this potential to only go within and look for hope and say, we'll get it back to normal. The hope is
right.
to go back to normal.
Yeah,
We can never go back to normal.
yeah.
And it's really important to think, as a person who's either dominant culture or has a history that's dominant culture and oppressed culture, or wherever we are, about how that hope is found and moving ourselves towards this,
mm,
one another as a human community. And
mm.
for me, that's hope too. And I
Yeah.
see it. I see it coming. I really
Mhm,
do. And so
mm,
it is about having eyes to see and ears to hear the good in the midst of the painful and the difficult and the broken and
mm.
the loneliness and the isolation.
Yeah, the other thing I've noticed this year is it seems like people are opening their hearts more in a compassionate way towards the suffering of others in a way that seems new. It might not be new, but it seems new.
I think it's wider spread.
Mm,
I think there's more of it. Just like there's this greater angst and this greater discomfort,
yeah.
there's a greater willingness to live into hope because it's so needed. See, that's
Mm,
the thing too about hope is that it
mm,
literally gives us energy to shift and to move and to change because what we desire is no longer in front of us. And it also gives us the understanding that we can look at what we desire and see if we're living towards it or not. And then,
mm, mm,
and so places of devastation are actually opportunities, incredible opportunities
mm,
to really think about, well, what do we hope for?
mm,
What actually will bring that about? If
mm,
we want health, we have to understand that it's economic disparity that is actually
mhm.
helping to spread COVID.
Yes.
Groups of people who are in a place of economic oppression are
Mm,
actually catching COVID at a much higher rate and
yeah.
actually overwhelming hospitals and then actually being part of the inability to contain COVID because they've been economically oppressed so long that the
Right.
suffering that they have in their community is now spreading. So we are either going to change, all of us,
Yeah.
and we're all going to work towards economic equality and an opportunity for medical care to be available to everyone, or
Hmm.
we all will be under the oppression of various viruses,
Yeah.
medical concerns.
Mm.
Because we can't contain medical concerns if there is economic disparity and disparity of healthcare. We can't.
No.
Think about an opportunity to grow justice.
It's caring for all of God's world and all of God's people, isn't it?
Yeah,
It goes hand in hand. We can't just care for ourselves or we're part of the oppression.
we are. Yeah,
Yeah. It's
exactly.
like that saying, to do nothing is to do something,
Yeah,
right? We either are contributing to the problem, even if we think we're not, because we're not doing anything, or we're contributing towards justice,
that's right.
towards resolution.
That's right. And that's where hope lives.
Mm.
That's where hope lives. Hope is all about what are we contributing to.
Mm.
It
That's
really is.
why that's why it inspires me so much to see what the young people are doing. And it's not just for them to do, it's for all of us to do, but they're so inspiring.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, throughout COVID, I see young people collecting money and buying groceries and delivering them, to the neighborhoods that need it the most. And I just, they're just inspiring.
We're
May we
really,
all catch that, right?
maybe we all catch it.
Yeah.
I think that the youth are remembering things that perhaps some of us have forgotten too, which is the grandmothers and the grandfathers matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
The grandmothers and the grandfathers matter. And so I've gotten to see many youth because I work with youth a lot, thinking about that and thinking about, okay, how do I care for my grandfather and my grandmother? And they're asking that and they're
Mm,
trying to figure that out. And part of the letter writing thing has been the teens starting to write letters because it was the
mm,
old school way and
mm,
sending letters to their grandparents and
mm,
in senior homes. And I've been so inspired by the amount of work that is happening in some of the youth that I know to
mm,
care for the elders
mm,
in our community.
mm, mm. That's beautiful. It's beautiful.
So it can be little things. I
Hmm.
think that I want to say that there's the big things and then there's the little things, the touchstones, the little things like, I don't know, Cookies.
Cookies.
Cookies baked and dropped off.
Hmm. I was going to say to some people like my son, that might be a big thing. Cookies. No, cookies being dropped off.
Yeah.
I hear you saying acts of kindness
Mm-hmm.
towards others.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Being sure that when you're walking through a city area that has homeless people, that you don't behave more afraid than you ever did and absolutely restrict even more contact. Find a way not to get close physically, not to put them at risk for COVID, but find a way to contribute to their well-being. Be sure that you have a pair of socks in your bag, good wool socks that have never been worn by anybody. Be sure to leave them on a bench where you see that there's someone sitting close by. Be
Mm-hmm.
sure to have a gift certificate where someone can get a hot chocolate or a hot cup of soup and just tape it to the wall above someone's head. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because a cup of tea, a cup of really good tea, have some tea bags with you and
Mm-hmm.
give somebody some good tea, like some good green tea that cleans toxins out of their body and helps them stay healthy.
Mm-hmm.
We have to think about the little things. And yes, it's random acts of kindness, but it's more than that. It's not just random acts of kindness,
That's intentional.
it's intentional acts of care,
Mm.
intentional acts of awareness that say, you matter to me.
Mm.
You matter to me.
Mm.
In a time where violence against trans people is so high,
Yeah.
understanding how to say hello to someone who's trans and saying, you know what, your trans life matters to me.
Yeah.
And here's some really good tea bags if you drink tea. And take them home with you and take good care. You matter.
Mm. Mm.
I have trans friends who are outside a lot. And when
Mm.
I can sit and talk with them and send them home with tea bags,
Mm.
and it's better. And that's just the thing I do. But there's other ways to be intentionally kind to people who are suffering regardless of their community
Yeah.
of suffering. And I say
Mm.
communities of suffering because there's communities of suffering.
Yeah.
And so I think about it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Be intentional about knowing who those communities of suffering are in your area.
Mm-hmm.
Find a way
Yeah.
because that's hope exponential and
Mm-hmm.
generative and
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. Um, so, I'm looking at my list of questions to ask you, and you're just answering right as we're going along. No, don't be. One of the things I have here, what are everyday ways we can engage in hope, especially during the holidays? Do you have anything to say about the holidays? And
Yeah. The holidays are so important because the rituals that we engage in the holidays have held us. They held us to our ethnic history. They hold us to our religious and spiritual underpinnings. They hold us in the hard days, and it's going to be a struggle to do them.
hmm,
And I think that even I'm kind of going, how am I going to do this? And like, I just baked 3 old-fashioned gingerbread houses and sent them to my 3 children who live in 3 other parts of the United States. And we're all going to get on Zoom and we're going to decorate together because there's something about doing the gingerbreads together that we've done over the years. And
hmm,
so I think identifying family rituals that you can find a way to still keep going is important.
hmm,
I think that it's also an opportunity to talk with family members and say, what are we going to do?
hmm,
What can we imagine doing
hmm,
that's safe and respectful for
yeah.
one another and for our lives and connects and holds us?
Hmm,
And there's the imagination is key here.
hmm,
I don't even know how to stress that more than I am. This year in particular, it's not about anything else except imagining how we can experience the loving kindness of one another.
hmm,
That's the key.
yeah.
Experience the loving kindness of one another.
Hmm,
It might be singing Christmas carols in some way
Yeah.
outside, spread
Yeah.
apart,
Yeah.
and so you have to really listen, and it won't be in tune, and it might not even be in the same timing, and it won't matter.
It's like those spontaneous concerts that have emerged all around the world, right? People hanging out windows and singing or with their instruments on their front porch. That's been so lovely to see.
I just got done designing a Christmas celebration with a large group of people I work with, and they're gonna have a tree in the middle of a big field, and they're gonna make parking spots for cars all the way around it that are well spread apart. And they're gonna invite people to come and put a blanket over the hood of the car, the trunk of the car, depending on the design of the car, right? So they're all separate. And everybody's going to be given a gift certificate to get a hot chocolate on the way. So nothing has to be shared. And the spaces will all be numbered. And one by one, that family will put one decoration on that tree, one
Mm,
car at a time.
mm,
And they'll sing while it's happening.
mm,
And it's very, very different from what they usually do. It's very, very safe. It's
mm,
very, very much an experience of shared joy in
mm,
the moment. You
mm.
think about the end of the movie Grinch and everything's taken away, right?
Yeah.
And somehow hope happens.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to do this year.
Mm,
We have to imagine a way forward
mm,
that takes an action towards that anticipatory hope of experiencing the
mm,
connection and loving kindness and the joy of
mm,
that God is with us.
mm,
That's the
mm,
meaning of Christmas.
mm,
God is with us and we are with each other.
mm,
There's ways to express that this year. The car rides to see the lights, all of it.
yeah.
Whatever we can imagine, which allows people to feel connected, held,
Mm,
and remembering.
yeah. Yeah. The imagination, remembering that God's story is bigger and longer than this moment in time,
Yeah.
and recognizing the faithfulness, being intentional, um,
Mhm.
not random, but intentional. I really hear that. Seems really essential. Let me ask you, Mary, for those who are really struggling and don't have a sense of hope, how do we embody hope for others?
I think giving permission for people to be really struggling is important.
Mm,
Be able to say to someone that is struggling, what you have been through and what you are going through, I hear you. I
mm,
hear you, and it's okay.
mm,
Tell me how I can hold the hope for you in this
mm,
time so you can grieve and
mm,
you can allow yourself to pour out the pain that is within you. And
mm,
I will be someone who holds hope around you. How can
mm.
I do that? Because that's what God does. God holds this just parameter of love and kindness and hope around us when we just can't. And there's
Yeah,
lots of times when we can't. So we get to do that same thing. We get to say, it's okay.
yeah.
It's okay. I'll hold that for you right now. Tell me
Mm,
the best way.
mm. It's kind of like when your candle goes out and there's other people around you. When you can't see the light, other people can hold it and see it for you, to believe for you, right? And in that way, we're a community.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And I think that the most hopeful thing we can give people is the affirmation that what you're enduring is real,
yeah,
and and that there's enough of us that you can do what you need to for a bit because we've got you.
yeah,
And that right there is a release,
yeah.
which allows a little more space,
Mm,
desire, and anticipation to come back in.
mm, mm,
So that light that we hold while someone is in
mm,
the darkness,
mm.
they regain their morning.
It's like it's giving people permission to grieve,
Mm,
to ask for help, to speak and share their pain,
mhm,
And we have to be willing to listen, to hold, and pray for those who are in that space, just like when we're in that space, others do that for us.
Yeah. And I think that when you describe it that way, what's really important to know is it's not just prayer,
Mm-hmm.
it's intentional practicing of presence with someone,
Absolutely.
which is inclusive of prayer.
Yeah. It's
And,
listening, being heard, being present to, being present with. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
even if it's the spiritual presence of saying, I'm going to sit tomorrow morning at 7, and wherever you are at 7 a.m., I'm going to sit and I'm going to light a candle. And my presence is going to be with you and with God.
Mm.
And I'm going to ask the Spirit to be with all of us and pray. And you
Mm.
can go about your day. But at 7 a.m. tomorrow, I'm starting mine with you.
Mm. Mm. That's lovely, Mary. In a Journey Center of Chicago, if someone is feeling that way tonight or during this time, you can message us and we'll be happy to pray for you or to listen. So know that that's true.
That is true.
Yeah.
We will do that.
Mary, any last words you want to share with us this evening?
I think the most I think the most important thing for me when I think about hope um, is that it just is. Hope just is. It's like
Mm.
hope just is. And when
Mm.
I get fearful or I get sad, I can just remember hope is.
Mm.
And if I can't have it, it doesn't matter because it still is.
Mm. Even when I can't feel it, it still is.
It just is.
Mm.
Hope
I like that.
just is.
Mm.
It's part of all that is.
Mm.
Yep.
I love that.
Mm.
Thank you so much for being here, Mary, and for sharing yourself and out of your wealth of experience. And I'm so glad we became friends through our kids, right? I think that's how it happened, or one of the ways anyway.
Jesse and Andrew, thank you.
That's right. Shout out to them. Um, anyway, thank you. I'm so grateful for this time and for what you've done. Hold on one second here. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll be talking soon.
Take care.
Okay. Peace all.